working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and here are the headlines. Finance ministers of the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations on Monday signed the bloc's first agreement to facilitate e-commerce transactions in the region. The camp of former First Lady Imelda Marcos filed a motion for leave of court on Monday, November 12, so the Ilocos Norte representative can still avail of legal remedies available to her after being convicted for graft by the Sandigan Bayan on 7 counts. And Cambodia breaks the Guinness World Record for building a 87.3-meter long wooden dragon boat. Finance ministers of the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations on Monday signed the bloc's first agreement to facilitate e-commerce transactions in the region. ASEAN, the third largest trading bloc in the world, is holding meetings on Monday and Tuesday prior to its official summit scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday in Singapore, reports EFE News. The newly signed agreement will foster speed and cooperation between businesses and governments, generating more efficient transactions, said Singaporean Trade and Industry Minister Chan Chun Sing. The U.S.-China trade war is expected to be a major topic on the ASEAN Summit agenda, with participation of member countries Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, and the Philippines. The summit will also have the presence of the U.S., China, Russia, Japan, and South Korea. U.S. President Donald Trump will be represented by Vice President Mike Pence, who will also participate in the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, forum in Papua New Guinea later. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said having benefited from ASEAN integration and open and connected economies, businesses should also be prepared to adapt to and accept more competition in their home markets. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the two-day ASEAN Business and Investment Summit, he extolled the benefits of economic openness, which reduces barriers and costs for businesses. He also said that while ASEAN has great potential, fully realizing it depends on whether members choose to become more integrated in a world where multilateralism is fraying under political pressures.
Businesses have to do their part too. Our companies hope to invest more in one another's countries and do business across all ASEAN markets. And the more integrated and open our markets are, the more conducive our rules and business environments to foreign investment, the larger the pie will grow and the more we will all benefit. But businesses are not always supportive when it comes to opening up our own domestic markets to foreign competition. They may lobby governments to impose regulations or keep industries closed to protect themselves. But having benefited from ASEAN integration and open and connected economies, our businesses should be prepared to adapt and to accept more competition in their home markets in exchange for more access to markets in other ASEAN countries. The ASEAN BAC has played a key leadership role to influence this. It's working to improve physical and digital interconnectivity in ASEAN. For example, recently it launched Smart Growth Connect, which uses technology to improve supply chains and logistics in ASEAN countries. And later today, my fellow ASEAN leaders and I will discuss with ASEAN BAC how regional economic integration efforts can be effective and relevant to business needs. ASEAN has great potential, but fully realizing it depends on whether we choose to become more integrated and work resolutely towards this goal in a world where multilateralism is fraying under political pressures. The AEC 2025 blueprint will help guide ASEAN to deepen economic integration, open up new growth frontiers, and create fresh business opportunities. We must play our respective parts as government and business leaders to pursue this vision. Only then can ASEAN continue to be a dynamic region of growth, and only then can we secure a prosperous future for all.
President Duterte is scheduled to attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC Economic Leaders Summit in Port Moresby on November 17 and 18. Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Ernesto Abella said empowering micro, small and medium enterprises and ensuring food security will be part of the president's priority agenda. Within APEC, Abella said the government was also preparing Filipinos to meet challenges and opportunities of the digital world. He noted that the digital world, or artificial intelligence, blockchains, and the internet were redefining businesses, services, and education.
The President joins other leaders in affirming commitment to an international rules-based regime, support of the multilateral trading system embodied by organizations like the World Trade Organization. The President conveys his support for mechanisms that will enable our MSMEs, or MISMIS as they call it, to take advantage of digital and online platforms to benefit their enterprises and to bring their products and services overseas. To this end, the APEC adopted the Boracay Action Agenda in working towards enabling MSMEs in the region to link internationally. He joins other leaders also in support of formulating a new and inclusive APEC vision beyond the year 2020. He calls attention to our efforts at ensuring food security for our people and advancing economic opportunities for women. Within APEC, the government is preparing Filipinos to meet the challenges and opportunities of a digital world where artificial intelligence, blockchains, big data, and the Internet of Things are redefining the way we do business, deliver services, and education of the young, especially orienting them now towards sciences, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics.
The 21 member economies are Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Peru, the Philippines, Russia, Singapore, Chinese Taipei, Thailand, United States of America, and Vietnam. Abella noted that over 5.7 million Filipinos overseas reside in the APEC region. Myanmar's Aung San Suu Kyi on Monday implored foreign investors to take a punt on her country, Southeast Asia's final frontier, but warned its resources are not open for exploitation at the cost of its people. Suu Kyi, Myanmar's de facto leader, has toured Asia in recent months, beating the drum for her country's economy, which the World Bank forecasts to grow at 7% next year. A tangle of investment laws, a weakening currency, high inflation, widespread corruption, and conflict have chipped away at an economy that was hoped to take off following the start of civilian government in 2016 after decades of junta rule. At the same time, Suu Kyi's image as an upholder of human rights and that of her country has been decimated by the Rohingya crisis. Speaking at a business forum in Singapore ahead of a regional summit, she did not address the crisis which has sent hundreds of thousands of the Muslim minority into Bangladesh and extinguished optimism in some corners over Myanmar's future. Rumblings of the potential reimposition of some Western sanctions over the treatment of the Rohingya have also darkened the economic outlook for the country. However, Suu Kyi was at pains to say Myanmar was still open for business. She warned investors not to expect an open season of the country's abundant natural resources, which include precious stones, vast tracts of arable land, and waterways. She added they have to invest for the sake of social cohesion and not purely for economic gain, referring Myanmar's resource-rich but conflict-riddled borderlands.
Myanmar's re-emergence comes at a time when the world is facing rising protectionist sentiments, a shift away from multilateralism in favor of bilateralism, and in some cases even isolationism, and amidst currency and trade tensions between some countries. Unlike 10 years ago, today Myanmar is exposed to these global macroeconomic shifts in ways never before experienced. It's been difficult for us to cope in some ways, but it's unavoidable if we want to enter the mainstream of the world economy.
President Duterte and other leaders of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations are scheduled to meet their dialogue partners in the 33rd ASEAN Summit and related summits in Singapore from November 13 to 15. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said this will be among the president's scheduled activities during the ASEAN Summit. Panelo said the summit in Singapore will give Duterte the chance to witness the progress of ASEAN's relations with its dialogue partners to foster deeper cooperation on priorities areas including peace, security, economy, and overall well-being of Filipinos. He said Duterte will first take part in the opening ceremony for the second and last summit of ASEAN for this year, after which they will witness a presentation by the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. He said there will also be a working dinner for the ASEAN leaders to be hosted by Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and an ASEAN Summit plenary session. Vietnam on Monday became the 7th country to ratify a sprawling Pacific Trade Act set to come into effect later this year, despite U.S. President Donald Trump's pullout from a deal he decried as a job killer. 11 countries revived a slimmed-down version of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, without Washington, though the new pact keeps the door open in case of a change of heart or government in the world's largest economy. Australia last month became the 6th country to ratify the deal, paving the way for the pact to come into force at the end of December, with more than half of its members officially signed on. Vietnam followed suit on Monday with a unanimous vote to approve the deal by lawmakers in the country's rubber-stamp parliament. The trade pact was spearheaded by former U.S. President Barack Obama, who dubbed the comprehensive deal a gold standard for 21st century trade rules and a crucial counter to China's rising global economic might. The deal will bind members into a tougher legal framework for trade, lower tariffs, and open markets. It will also introduce new labor standards, a sticking point for communist Vietnam, where all labor unions are controlled by the one-party state. The establishment of independent labor unions may bring out some challenges, Gao said Monday, but added the government was open to making the necessary reforms. Even without the U.S. in the mix, the now renamed Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement, or Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, has been described as a game changer. It covers many rapidly growing economies that account for around 14% of world trade. Members have said the U.S. would be welcome to rejoin any time and have even opened the doors for non-Pacific countries like Britain to come on board.
Đa số các vị đại biểu Quốc hội đều tán thành về sự cần thiết phê chuẩn hiệp định CPTPP. Đây là một quyết định chính trị quan trọng, khẳng định nước ta chủ động trong hội nhập quốc tế, nâng cao nội lực, khả năng ứng phó với các tác động kinh tế thế giới, đồng thời thúc đẩy việc đàm phán, ký kết các hiệp định thương mại tự do khác. Và tiêu chuẩn cao, các tiêu chuẩn cao nhất sau đây gọi tắt là hiệp định CPTPP.
the EBC Family Fun Run, November 18, 2018, at the Ciudad de Victoria Complex, Bulacan. Choose from race categories: 1.062 kilometer, 2.5 kilometers, 5 kilometers, and 9.55 kilometers. Registration is ongoing. For more details, log on to www.eaglenews.ph/EBC Fun Run or call 784-7450, local 1162. You may also visit www.facebook.com/EBC Fun Run. EBC Family Fun Run.
This event was made possible with our major sponsors: Regent, Life's Simple Pleasures, RY Graphics and Print, Guyamax, the natural 4-in-1 super antioxidant with guayabano mangosteen, turmeric, and vitamin C. With the participation of Isuzu, your responsible partner for life, together building people. Mr. Gary Escobar, Salampas by Hisamitsu Philippines, Skechers Performance, White Glow, Australia's #1 teeth whitening system. Beldia, your strategic procurement partner. Blue Pro Energy Plus Electrolytes. Enjoying your passion never stops. And in partnership with Maligaya Development Corporation and Philippine Red Cross.
Welcome back. The only female member of the Bali Nine heroin trafficking gang will be freed from an Indonesian prison next week, a corrections official said Monday after serving 13 years in a case that caused a diplomatic furor. Australian Renee Lawrence, 41, was arrested in 2005 after she was caught with 2.6 kilograms or 5.7 pounds of heroin strapped to her body as she tried to fly out of the international airport on the holiday island of Bali. Lawrence was sentenced to life imprisonment, but her sentence was later reduced to 20 years and then further reduced due to good behavior. She will be released on November 21, Maid Suwandera, head of the Bangli prison on Bali, where Lawrence is incarcerated, said. It is likely that Lawrence will be deported shortly after her prison release. She will be the only member of the Bali Nine to win their freedom so far. Gang ringleaders Muran Sukumaran and Andrew Chan were executed by firing squad in 2015, sparking a diplomatic row between Australia and Indonesia, which has some of the world's strictest drug laws, including the death penalty. In June, another Bali Nine member, Tan Duk Than Nguyen, died in prison from stomach cancer, while the remaining 5 are currently serving their life sentences. Some critics have lashed out at the Australian police for tipping off their Indonesian counterparts about the gang and putting its members at risk of execution in Indonesia. Rohingya Muslims were fleeing Bangladeshi refugee camps to avoid being repatriated to Myanmar later this week, community leaders said Monday. Authorities plan to begin returning Rohingya refugees who have fled what the UN has called ethnic cleansing to the Buddhist majority country from Thursday. However, the prospect has created panic in the camps, prompting some families who were due to be among the first to be repatriated to flee, according to community leaders. They say the authorities repeatedly tried to motivate the ones on the returning refugee list to go back, but instead they were intimidated and fled to other camps. This is according from Jamtuli refugee camp. But Noor Islam said the plan has created massive confusion and fear among the Rohingya, and many were unwilling to return to Rakhine unless they were guaranteed citizenship and other rights. A Rohingya refugee, Mohammed Kaleke, told media they are truly disturbed by the entire issue. As the day is coming closer, their tension is rising. He said he and his family were fleeing their camp for another makeshift Rohingya settlement in Cox's Bazar in an effort to avoid being forcibly repatriated. He said he doesn't see a future for her family if they are forcibly sent back home without confirming that they would get full Myanmar citizenship. That's why he took his family out of the camp and to another one to live with his relatives. The UN assessment may take at least 2 more days, according to both UN and Bangladesh officials, which may delay repatriation. A Bangladeshi official speaking on condition of anonymity admitted that the Rohingya refugees were not mentally ready for returning.
So both the repatriation centers are ready now, and they can reciprocate with the two reception centers built by Myanmar on their sides.
We think that this is a very ambitious plan, but this is a matter of the governments of Bangladesh and Myanmar. Although we still think that the conditions are not conducive now for the refugees to return to Myanmar.
The camp of former First Lady Imelda Marcos filed a motion for leave of country on Monday, November 12, so the Ilocos Norte representative can still avail of legal remedies available to her after being convicted for graft by the Sandigan Bayan on 7 counts. The hearing for the motion was set on Friday, November 16 at 8:30 a.m. While the 89-year-old Marcos has already signified the intention of her lawyers to file a motion for reconsideration, this will depend on the acceptance of the Sandigan Bayan's 5th Division of her explanation on her and her lawyer's absence during the promulgation of the decision last week. Marcos's new lawyer in the case, retired Court of Appeals Justice Manuel Lazaro, has already entered his appearance to represent the former First Lady. He replaces her previous lawyer, Robert Sison, who was confined at the Asian hospital, Marcos said earlier. On Monday, no warrant of arrest was issued for Marcos. She was convicted last Friday for 7 counts of graft in connection with the management of Marcos's alleged Swiss deposits using Swiss foundations during the administration of her late husband, former President Ferdinand Marcos. She was sentenced to 6 years and 1 month to 11 years imprisonment for each of the 7 counts of graft, with perpetual disqualification from public office upon the decision's finality.
I've already told the director of CIDG to lead kung talagang kami ang mautusan na mag-arrest sa kanya. It will be the CIDG who will lead the arrest. And of course, kung talagang yung may kautusan ng korte na dito dadalhin sa amin, yung facility naman namin is always ready to accommodate the former First Lady.
At Congress Administration sa pangunguna ng ating
Join the EBC Family Fun Run, November 18, 2018, at the Ciudad de Victoria Complex, Bulacan. Choose from race categories: 1.062 kilometer, 2.5 kilometers, 5 kilometers, and 9.55 kilometers. Registration is ongoing. For more details, log on to www.eaglenews.ph/EBC Fun Run or call 784-7450, local 1162. You may also visit www.facebook.com/EBC Fun Run. EBC Family Fun Run.
This event was made possible with our sponsors: Guinness, the natural 4-in-1 super antioxidant with guayabano, mangosteen, turmeric, and vitamin C. Skechers Performance, White Glow, Australia's #1 teeth whitening system. Beldia, your strategic procurement partner. Blue Pro Energy Plus Electrolytes. Enjoying your passion never stops. And in partnership with Maligaya Development Corporation and Philippine Red Cross.
Welcome back. A police robot patrols the Suntec City Convention and Exhibition Center during the 33rd Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit in Singapore. Meanwhile, Cambodia breaks the Guinness World Record for building an 87.3-meter-long wooden dragon boat. The previous record was set by China in 2016. Take a look.
Vay 87 mét cho 7 miền Trần Nô 174 nèខ្ញុំនៅលេខរៀងទី174ហ្នឹងហ្មងនៅលើពិភពលោកគឺទូកយើងជាប់លេខ1តែមានប្រវែងវែងជាងគេអស់បាទជាងចឹងយើងប្រវែងឯកសកម្មលើពិភពលោកបានគឺទូកវែងជាងគេ
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I am 1 with 25.